So 2025 is still early, but the release calendar for the first half of this year is starting to shape up. So here's 5 whiskeys that I'm hunting in the first half of 2025. Let's talk about it. So if you're not aware, a lot of bourbon releases are either spring or fall. That just has to do with the harvest, because in the 1700s, you either had to get it out after the harvest or before the harvest. The bourbon release calendar just kind of naturally still follows that, I would say. So we're starting to see a lot of whiskey coming up. 2 resources that I follow that I think that you also should follow. Coming Whiskey on Instagram, I will be sure to link him in the comments. He is great. He scours the TTB website, which is the website where all of the labels for new bourbon are. So he scours that and posts it to his Instagram. I've met the dude. Super down to earth, really nice guy. So you should follow him on Instagram because I do. And then the second one is the bourbon release calendar on Breaking Bourbon. It has everything coming for the entire year. Some of it's just projected until the announcements are made, but it gives you kind of a general idea of when to start looking for stuff. So that link is also in the description of this video. I think that you should be checking both of those resources like I am pretty frequently. So it's still January, but we're starting to see a lot of new stuff coming for this year, and I'm starting to see, what things am I prioritizing that I'm looking for, because I do this, but I am somewhat on a budget. I do have to kind of pick and choose what things I'm looking for. In Pennsylvania, it's kind of hard. Neighboring states don't get it, or, if I can't get it on Sealbox or Bourbon Outfitters, I just don't get it. A lot of what I'm looking for is based on things that I've tried before. So I'm going to give you 5 things that I'm looking for and why. Let's just get into that list. We're starting with number 5. Number 5 is Russell's 13, and that comes with a major caveat. A lot of the Wild Turkey special editions, I think, are way too overpriced. So that includes last year's Russell's 15. It includes any of the Wild Turkey Masters keeps. They are just continually going up in price. Generations was $500. The single rick houses are $300 plus. Russell's 15 is $250. And the last time we saw Russell's 13, it was $150. So there was a $100 jump between 13 and 15. And this year, presumably, I think we're going to see both 13 and 15. Now, the question is, what price is 13 going to be this year? Because I can guarantee you it will not be $150. I don't think it'll still be $150. Now, will it be $25 more expensive at $175? Possible. Will it be $50 more expensive at $200? And then they have Russell's 13 at $200 and Russell's 15 at $250. I think that's the most likely. So, depending on what the price is, I am probably going to hunt that. It is probably going to be, as a return, better than other previous. Usually when a whiskey goes away and then comes back, that comeback batch is a banger. We saw that with George T. Stagg in 22. It seems like if they make the conscious decision to not make a batch, they come back with the best that they can do to garner people's interest back. And I'm all about that. Once again, price is my only hang up. If I can find it for a decent price, $175, I will consider it. If it's $200, I will buy it maybe as trade bait or for another person who I know is looking for it. I am not going to buy it for myself. That's just where I'm at. So, number 5, Russell's 15. Number 4, 13th Colony is releasing a maple wood finished bourbon. 13th Colony Double Oaked is definitely up there as one of my favorite bourbons of all time. And I've had some Maplewood finished Jack Daniel's products that are phenomenal. That sweet but savory 13th Colony profile mixed with a sweet Maplewood finish. I'm in. I love the idea of it and I'm here for it. So I'm excited. The price will also be a hang up on this one. If it's $200 like the Double Oaked, I don't think it will be. I'm gonna assume it'll probably be in the $90 to $120 range. If it's there, I'm in. If it's $200, I'm out. I just don't see it being a top-end release with their anniversary series and their Double Oaked. I think it's more along the lines of their cast strength, which is 90, so that's where I'm getting my 90 to 120. Probably a little bit more expensive than just the cast strength. That's just what I'm assuming. I think it'll be good. I'm really interested to find it. We'll see if, they make enough that Sealbox and Bourbon Outfitters get enough that I can get one. I generally tend to avoid Sealbox, but in the case of 13th Colony, it's pretty much the only way I can get it here in PA, so I troll that like crazy. So that's number 4. Number 3 is Sagamore announced that they're releasing 9-year-old store picks. So I've had Sagamore's 9-year-old. It's fantastic. It is MGP sourced, so I'm assuming They're trying to purge some of that older stock, and this is just how they're doing it. So they're doing 9-year single barrels. I love a lot of what Sagamore is doing, including their own distillate. I think Sagamore is one of those rare cases where their own distillate is actually better than the MGP that they've been peddling. The age stated releases at some point will probably drop down and become their own releases. That's just my assumption. And maybe at some point we'll see their bourbon. We know it exists. Evernorth has been sourcing it. I will definitely be on the lookout for specifically the 9-year picks, especially from stores and people that I trust. If Sawballs gets one, Nick, if you're watching this, please pick one. Really pretty, please. I will buy a few of them. Stay tuned, because I've got some news coming about Sagamore. So just hang out. Keep watching. Something's coming. So number 2 is actually 2 different whiskeys, so a little 2 for 2. The Knob Creek Cask Strength series between the bourbon and the rye. So it looks like, this is just my assumption, they're getting rid of their current setup with the 120 proof 9-year and the 115 proof 7-year rise, and they are moving to cask strength, which is something that a lot of people in the industry have been asking for a long time, because it's bonkers that when you go to do a pick of Knob Creek, they send you a bunch of whiskeys at barrel proof and expect you to proof it down to 120 to figure out what it tastes like. So having the option, or possibly the only option, of buying it at barrel proof, I think is going to be great. You're not going to get as many bottle yield, but you will be actually tasting it where it's at and not having to proof it down yourself and possibly, blundering that. I've heard that happening a few times. I can tell you from the experience of doing that at 1792, thankfully the master distiller proofed that down roughly for us so we could taste it at roughly what it's going to be bottled at. It is different enough, right? It is, we were tasting them at like 128 to 130. I think 5 was the top that we tasted. And that 10 proof makes a difference. That, 3 to 10 proof. It makes a difference when you're adding water anytime to whiskey. I am actively choosing not to get on my soapbox. You people who know me know what I'm talking about. But I'm excited for Knob Creek at cask strength. I think it's going to be really good. I think they've steered away from it for a long time because Booker's exists, and I wonder if their sales of Knob Creek picks have gotten stagnant. Either way, I'm here for it. I think it's a great decision, and I'm all about it. So Knob Creek, cask strength, bourbon and rye picks coming up. Look for those coming out. I would imagine probably by April they'll start rolling out, if they have not already. I've not seen any. Finally, this one might piss some people off, and it's number 1 on my list simply because it is the first in a long time. E.H. Taylor Distillers Council. Now, Buffalo Trace is generally pretty tight-lipped, right? If it's a new thing, before they announce it, they want you to know as little as possible. Pretty typical. I am assuming that this is a continuation of the E.H. Taylor special edition series that included, there's like 7 of them. There's like Cured Oak, 4-grain, 18-year marriage, Warehouse C Tornado Surviving. There's probably another one that I'm missing. This isn't necessarily meant to be an informative video. This is an opinion video. So I'm not looking it up. I don't care. Warehouse C was released in 2021. So we've seen a 4-year gap between special editions. And like I was talking about with the Russell's 13, I think this one will be a banger because it's been gone for so long. As long as it's not a Buffalo Trace attempt to do another stupid high-profile whiskey like the Weller Millennium or Daniel Weller or Eagle Rare 25 or, insert dumbly priced Buffalo Trace whiskey here. As long as it's an E.H. Taylor release at that roughly $80 to $100 range, I'm interested. I'm hoping that it is coming back because they're finally getting enough. I think noticeably Buffalo Trace has been gaining in stock. Pennsylvania, especially with regular E.H. Taylor small batch, has seen, I think, 5,000 bottles released this year so far. It actually might be more than that. Online releases, I know that there were 2 in a week that was like 2,000 each. It was like 2,500 and 2,000. So that is promising, right? I think we're starting to see more out of Buffalo Trace, which is what everybody wants. Everybody wants more Buffalo Trace. Hopefully at some point it is a shelf staple that people can get. I think if Stag were on the shelf every day, that it would be hard pressed to buy anything else. If this E.H. Taylor Distillers Council is truly what I think it's going to be, then I'm interested in it and I will do my best to hunt it, with the dream that it's not a $1,000 plus special edition Buffalo Trace BS bottle. Because those do exist, and that's what I hate about Buffalo Trace right now. That and their scarcity. Also, I kind of hate that they're doing 4 stag batches a year because it seems like quality's dropping. Maybe that'll change. I don't know. But seemed like when they went to 3, the quality dropped, and then when they went to 4, it dropped more. Those are the 5 that I'm hunting early this year. I would love it if you guys comment what you're hunting. The Woodford Reserve Masters Collection Batch Proof's coming out. I think it's out in some places. I'm pretty sure I saw Bourbon Bill review it. I would like to get my hands on that at some point because I like the series and I think what Elizabeth McCall is doing is great. February 2nd, we are doing the Fantasy Whiskey Draft finale for this year. So if you are interested in who can pick the best team of whiskey on the internet, definitely give that a follow. We'll also have some super nerdy stuff, the top rated pick, the lowest rated pick, which reviewer was the most generous, who was the least generous, or the most discerning. I'm going to say that because it might be me. But we'll have our friends on, and it'll be a great time. So that's February 2nd at 6 p.m. Definitely watch us instead of the NFL Pro Bowl. On February 13th, it was supposed to be on the 31st, but then I had a conflict. So I'm going live with the Bourbon Jerk on his channel. As that gets closer, I will be sure to share that on all of my social media platforms. So stay tuned here, Instagram, TikTok, maybe. Be sure that you're following the Bourbon Jerk here on YouTube, on Instagram, and on TikTok. Those are our upcoming events. If you like this content and you want to support what I'm doing here, we do have memberships here on YouTube. We have Patreon. We have a merch store. All of those links are in the description. Please like and comment on these videos and subscribe if you haven't already. And we hope you'll join us in drinking like a gentleman. Cheers. Okay. That was 20-some minutes. 23 minutes. I can probably... And I'm here for it because Russell's... okay, well, I said Russell's. I'm on Russell's. Russell's just rustles around my brain. That's going to make the end credits.